Hello people! So the last video I talked about how to get into animation, like what devices to get. And today I want to talk about what devices I use and also what software I use and when do I use one over the other. So yeah, let's just get into it. So the first thing I use is an iPad. This is an iPad Pro. I have it in a cover, but yeah, it's an iPad Pro. It's the 2021 model. It's getting a little old now, but it still works totally fine. And the program I'm using on the iPad for animation is Procreate Dreams. And before Procreate Dreams, I didn't actually animate that much because I only had the iPad and I just couldn't find a program that I liked for animation, so I actually didn't animate that much before. But when that came out, I started animating a lot. and even though I've gotten a display, I still use the iPad sometimes. I just really like how Procreate Dreams works. There is a few flaws. Like I could really use a selection tool. I think they have talked about it for a while that they want to add it. Like you can go into, I think on their website or something, there is like a map over what they're working on in what order. And I think it's the highest one, but it has been out for over a year. We still haven't gotten a selection tool. And it really bums me because it would really be a great program if just that feature was there. Of course, there can also be other improvements, but I think that's the biggest one that is turning me off a little bit. That actually makes me use the display more now, and TV Paint. I'm gonna get into TV Paint in a little while. But yeah, Procreate, if you add the selection tool, you really have a good program here. And that's not to say I'm not using it, because I am still using it. One of the biggest reasons why I'm still using it is because of the touch. I really like the touch features. There's only one problem with it. When I've been animating for a while in the program, it starts to, detect my palm a little bit, and it will make some unwanted lines here and there. It can be quite annoying at sometimes, but it's not a huge deal. It's not a deal breaker for me, but it's definitely something I hope they'll fix. And that's also saying, like, I use one of these gloves, so it's not because I put my bare hand on the screen, but it's just still detecting something apparently. And that's not a problem in Procreate itself. I've only experienced in Procreate a very few times from all the times I've been using Procreate, so I feel like it's something they are able to fix. But yeah, the workflow is a bit faster with touch, in my opinion. But there is some features on the display in TV Paint that makes other things faster. The coloring process can be done quite a lot faster in TV Paint, but I'll get into that. So yeah, moving on to the display. I am using a Huion Canvas 24 Plus. I think it's a good mid-range display. You can get some more expensive ones, both from Huion and other brands. I was looking at Wacom, but you really don't get that much with the same budget with Wacom. So if I was to get the same size and resolution and the closest match to this, it would be double the price. And so I thought this was a better option for me. And I haven't had a lot of issues with it. It's really working fine. There was some things with setting it up, and then there was me that was just dumb at some point. I thought it was broken because I have a clip here, but it wasn't detecting pressure correctly. So it was like, if I didn't hold it straight onto the display, if I tilted a little bit, it wasn't detecting the pen quite, it wasn't even making a line at some point. And I even contacted Huion, and luckily they had some sort of vacation, so they weren't able to answer me for a week, because I actually felt quite embarrassed when I found out that it was just me that hadn't put I switched the nibs, so the new nib wasn't all the way in. So it was just me that it was a me problem. It wasn't the display or the pen or anything. So yeah, I haven't experienced any real issues with it so far. And the bigger screen has really been nice to have, because the iPad only goes so far, with size. And then the software I'm using is called TV Paint. Now, this is a bit expensive, and it's a program that I've been wanting to get for many, many years. I think it was back in 2016 I learned about it, and since then I had really wanted to get it, but because of the price point, and I was a teenager at that time. I was 16, so it wasn't really an option back then. But I finally got it this year, so it was really a nice experience to finally get my hands on it. And in the beginning, it was quite a steep learning curve, and a lot of the icons doesn't remind me of any other program that I've been using. So, for example, like the skull icon, I'm just like, is this gonna blow up the program or what? But no, it's just an icon for deleting everything that's on the screen. So yeah, I really needed to learn it at first, but I think because I've been using both Photoshop and at some point Premiere Pro and also Adobe Animate at some point, it was a little easier for me to learn, because I had the animation basics down, so I could kind of figure out that, the light bulb means onion skin, so you can see the previous frame with a little bit of transparency. But it is also a program that is kind of hard to find some answers to. Like, I still struggle with finding out how to use blending most probably, and I've really tried Googling it, and I've tried asking some people that use it, but I still can't seem to figure them out. So yeah, I still struggle with some of the things, but I think I've got the hang of the basics. I think this program is great for those who are looking to upgrade from something like Procreate Dreams, or if you're just animating in Photoshop or Krita or Clip Studio. But there is also some other options out there that is a little less expensive, so you might need to look into those also. But the reason I chose TV Paint is because it's a raster program, so that means it works in pixels. The feel I'm going for is the same as, drawing in Procreate or drawing in Photoshop. It is the program that I felt worked most closely to drawing on paper, so drawing with a real pencil. But this is not a great program if you want the option to animate in vector. So if you want to be able to scale up your animation as much as you like and not lose quality, then this is not the program for you. And a thing I really, really like about this program is that it's a lot easier to color. In Procreate Dreams, you kind of have to go in and color everything manually, or make sure to close all your gaps and then you can color drop. But I feel like it's a better result if you paint in all the frames. But you can imagine that it's getting a little tedious sometimes, especially if you have a very smooth animation with a lot of frames, and also if it's a bit longer animation, it's a lot of frames to go in and color manually. With TV Paint, I found this technique from the String Bean channel. Okay, I have his name here because I'm afraid I'll butcher it, but I learned it from Sonico Ponjoya. I hope that's how you say it. But he has some really great tutorials on how to animate, and especially with TV Paint because that's one of his main programs. So I learned a lot from him. He has a great tutorial on how to color your animation. So I go in and make a new layer, and I copy the structure of the animation so all the frames match the line art, and then I go in and I put a solid color in, and then you set the fill tool to erase, and then you can just click outside of your lines and hit enter, and then it actually goes in and erases everything around it for all the frames. And it's a really nice process because then I have a base color very quickly, and then afterwards I can go in and tweak a few things if I feel like it didn't fill correctly on one frame or something. But it makes the process a lot faster, and if I have a very clean line, I can actually just go in and just use the fill tool for the base colors on everything. And that's where you can feel it's a more professional program than Procreate Dreams. It is also unfair to compare such an expensive program that has been out for many years. I think it came out in 2006 or something like that. I will correct it on the screen if that's not. Okay, so I actually googled it, and it's actually older than me. It came out in 1991. So yeah, it's really not fair to compare that to Procreate Dreams, which is very affordable. Plus, it came out a little over a year ago. So yeah, it's not a fair comparison like that, but it is for two different types of people, I think. So lastly, I want to talk about when do I use which program? And why wouldn't I use TV Paint all the time? It comes down to what type of project am I doing and what is it for. So if I'm working with other people, I will usually use TV Paint because it's just a better process. It's easier to do bigger projects with many layers and a lot of effects, and again the coloring process is quite faster. And for those who has been following me for a while, you know that I want to make my own animated short. It has been shelved for a couple of months because I just felt like I hit a wall, and it was also before I got this program, so I just knew that I wouldn't be able to make a whole short in Procreate Dreams, because my plan is that it has to be between 5 to 10 minutes, and I have tried to make a couple of minutes animation in Procreate Dreams, but it wasn't a good experience, and I don't think it's ready for bigger projects like that. Maybe it will in the future with better iPads and also improving the program, but for now I would not use Procreate Dreams for an animation that's more than 30 seconds. I have started to work on Dovlove again, so I will be continuing on it, and when it gets to the point where I need to animate it, I will be using TV Paint because it's a big project with a lot of scenes, and it just makes more sense to use that over Procreate Dreams. But when I just get a random little idea for an animation that's just for Instagram, it's a couple seconds, or it's just like a quick animation of something, maybe a little GIF, I will use Procreate Dreams. I think sometimes I could also use TV Paint, but let's be honest, sometimes it's just more comfy to sit on the couch and draw and animate, and I'm not gonna take this to the couch. It's just impossible. So in that case, it's just more comfortable for me to sit with my iPad and chill on the couch have a movie playing in the background. So yeah, it comes down to the project size and what it's for. I hope this video was a little helpful, or if you found it interesting to get a little insight in what devices I use and what programs I use. I am still planning on making a video about like how to get into animating, the more technical aspect, because I already talked about how you get into animation, what devices you could use and stuff like that. But I still want to do one where I talk about how to start animating and what exercises you can do to learn animation, but I'm still working on that. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.